Hey, what's up, everybody? This is kind of a comic book hangout. I don't really have much going on tonight. It's 4th of July weekend slash 4-day weekend, I guess, for most people. I have tomorrow off. I have obviously Friday off. I have the 4-day weekend. I took a vacation day on that Monday to a 5-day weekend. I know it's all right. You could hate me, everybody. It's understandable. You could have done it too at your company. Most people get 10 days off a year extra. I took that Monday off. Hate me if you want, but I digress. Obviously, I got my good friend Paul Gomez here, who runs a comic that he does, as well as some other stuff that he does. He obviously ran a show for a while, but we're going to talk about that in a second. But I guess we're kind of talking about an interesting topic here that stemmed out of the Jim Lee position, which is Jim Lee is charging a lot of money for some sketches, some commissions. I don't know exactly what Jim Lee's doing, but anywhere from 9 to 25K. And we're kind of talking about the question, I guess, and we're going to preface it by would you pay for a connection? And so, but before we get into all that, how are you doing, Paul?
Andrew, it's great to be here. It's great to talk to you again. Yeah, man, I've been kind of hiding away from comics, haven't been on streams that much, but I'm still working behind the scenes trying to find new ways. Me being kind of still new to the industry, I've been finding different opportunities and stuff. And this was something that kind of came up about the same time with this whole Jim Lee commission thing. I mean, is it right that he charges as much?
So
I think so.
about that. Let's
I
talk
mean,
about
I don't know. I know a lot of people are upset about his prices being so high.
it. I'm
I'm
not
not
at
either. I mean, if you're an artist, you should be allowed to charge as much as you want.
let's actually talk about this because I want to break this down because I've spoken about this publicly, right? My position might be different than yours, and I'll explain my position is that so I don't want to do certain things in life, right? So I don't really want to build somebody else's business. If somebody wants to run a business like me, what I've done on eBay, and for those who don't know, and I'll preface this the simplest way, I have grown a business that is now becoming really, really healthy, using a lot of debt and spending a lot of money and inventory, first dollar in, first dollar out, plus some to handle debt, upwards up to about 70, 80K when we calculate in the last 18 months. That is now down to $3,300. And so what I've done is I've done first dollar in, first dollar out. If you and basically once I get out of debt free, I'm going to use that same principle. I'm going to make a lot of money doing this for the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years. And I have a business that has a lot of assets and I've done a great job. So if somebody wants my consulting services on that, I charge anywhere from $400 to $500 an hour with a minimum of 5 hours being bought. And if somebody really wants a business, I'm going to charge them anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000 as a consulting fee. And it's not because I don't want to help you; it's that I legitimately don't want to spend time with you. And so that's how I view the Jim Lee position: is that he doesn't want to draw for you.
Well, and you have to think about it this way.
I mean that's how I view it. Maybe
he's
I'm
not
wrong.
he's not just an artist. He's basically.
I don't think he wants to do it.
Well,
That's what I
I
think.
agree. I agree. But I mean, he's not just an artist. He is practically one of the top people in DC Comics. So for you to say that his price is just because of his art is
I've had
kind
a
of absurd, I think.
conversation. So my position also comes from I legitimately sat in Paul Levitz's apartment interviewing him. Paul Levitz was a professor of mine. I asked him on the second day of class, after I'm done, can I interview you for my show? Because why wouldn't I want to interview Paul Levitz of all people?
Right.
Cool interview, right? Got to sit in his house doing an interview with him. And you got to remember, he was running DC Comics for 12, 15 years, right? And then what he explained to me is that he was writing comics on the side as a per diem position. So he was getting maybe $5,000, but you're the CEO slash president, or whatever his title was. I forget what it was at DC Comics, making probably millions of dollars, right?
Right.
So he wasn't writing comics at that point for writing comics. He was writing comics because he wanted to write comics for the hell of it, or he needed an extra 2 grand because maybe that was his kid's college fund, right? And sure, you're making a lot of money on a base salary, but you're also dealing with a lot of crazy shit as CEO. And so he said on the weekend, I would write a comic book, right? I'd spend 7 hours. So at this point, though, Jim Lee's what, the publisher of DC Comics? He has that title and he's running a lot of the shows. So any time what people don't understand is that from 9 to 5 on Monday to Friday, he's running the publishing division at DC.
Right.
So his commission time is, I don't know if he has kids, but maybe he loves coaching his daughter's softball team, right? That means he has less time to coach his daughter's softball team and he has to deal with your stupid fuck commission. And maybe for 25K, that stupid fuck commission becomes a fucking position and says this matters. And that's how I view it.
Well,
And
I don't know if I view it as a stupid commission, but I kind of agree. I mean, basically, you're going to take him away from all his other events or items that he
he
has to
loves
deal
his
with.
daughter's softball team,
And
right?
you don't know
It
how long it's going
matters
to
to
take him
Paul.
for this one
The,
commission. Let's say
the
it is one of
fact
those
that you don't
25,000.
care. I'm sorry, Paul. He loves softball, for lack of a better word, right? And his daughter needs the coaching, okay? And the fact that you don't care here, no. You understand the point, right?
No, I
I'm,
agree.
I'm picking a ridiculous premise for a reason because it proves my point, and that's how I feel about this, right?
I mean, you don't know how much time he's going to put into one of these commissions. It could be an entire day, and if it's an entire day, how many scripts is he not going to be editing for DC? How many people is he not going to be
It's not
advising
even
that he
that.
should?
I don't think it's that. I don't think it's his weekend, right?
Right,
He's doing his publishing job from 9 to 5, Monday through Friday.
right.
Okay? Potentially Monday, 9 o'clock to 7 o'clock. We might start at 6 o'clock for all we know. It doesn't really matter. I don't think he's doing saying, oh man, this thing came in on Saturday. I'm sure he's not working on a Saturday. Maybe he is. I don't know. But when he has a commission, that's on his off time. He's not doing it on DC's time. And that's why this is expensive because he's doing this as a side hustle. This isn't, I highly doubt this $25,000 commission is on DC's time. Does that make any sense?
I agree with you. I mean, I think it might cut into some time. I don't know. I mean, we really don't know unless we're
I'm
him. But,
presuming. I'm
but I
presuming.
mean, you're basically, telling an artist, hey, you shouldn't charge this much for your time and your effort. And like I said, he's not just an artist. He's got so much other stuff going on that he's valuing his time at this rate. At least he's putting it out there. There are some artists that won't even do commissions.
I'm giving him a big win here, where I'm saying, look, this is on a Saturday and Sunday. I don't know how you feel. I work a day job. I work Monday through Friday. I work a 40-hour work week. I do my interview show elsewhere. On top of that, I run an eBay business, and this is why my consulting fee is so fucking high. Because at this point, when I can go watch a New York Mets game or a Rangers game or a football game, and I can't do that because I have to speak to you, you're damn right you're gonna fucking pay for that, right? Like, if you want my business advice,
And like I said, that's kind of what I think. But
that's
also
what it
is
is
like,
for me.
how much would you pay, for that connection to someone like Jim Lee? For
But
like, let's say it wasn't for the commission. Let's say it was just for 5 minutes of his time.
it's interesting, right? Because I have connections that I paid nothing for, right? I've said I would like to interview you. Person's like, yo, I'm busy for next week. I'm like, dude, that's not a problem.
Right.
If you are happy to introduce me for connections, and people are happy to help me out, but also I'm happy to pay for connections if they're worth it, right?
Right.
I don't have a problem, but also I've met a lot of fucking people, and at this point, I mean, I'm right now talking to somebody I can't say who it is, but me and her are having an interesting conversation, and she can introduce me to a lot of people. I've also have connections with who she knows, and I've been around the block enough in the adult industry that she's now, when I mentioned 3 or 4 names and sent links and proved it, she's like, "Oh my god, like you're not fucking around anymore, right?" Like, so like, but if I interview her, it's gonna open up 10 doors for me. So I have no problem paying her for for
So
credibility.
the reason I bring this up is because whenever I came into the industry, I met this person who was really well established, and they're like, "You should get this artist for one of your covers." And I was like, "I don't know that person." They're like, "Well, I can connect you, but it's going to cost you a certain percentage of the job. So if you get him, you basically pay me 5% of whatever you're paying them." And I thought to myself, sounds great. Now it didn't exactly go through that time, but there have been more than one instances where I've been offered, "Hey, you want to make a connection? I know a few people. Why
But
don't you pay me X amount and I'll introduce you?" And lately, I've been thinking to myself, is this a bad thing? Do other people get these kind of offers? And on top of that, where can you find these offers?
I mean, it's interesting, right? Because I deal with professionals and lack of professionals. I've had Barry Yandel. Barry Yandel is a voice actor who's played Mr. Tubon Clay. He's played a bunch of great voice actors. I've had John Grimlin on my show, who plays Gentle Criminal from My Hero Academia, and Mihawk from One Piece. I've had Marina Palencia, who plays Chopper from One Piece. I've had Daniel Ba, who I have a very good relationship with, plays Jinbei from One Piece. Like, my response is that none of these people have ever asked me for a fucking penny. And some of these people have introduced me to other people and have helped me
Right.
out. So they've never asked for anything. Lisa Ortiz and me have a good relationship, and it's helpful, and she's tried to help. Doesn't always work, right? But like, my point is that, like, what I've found is that people want to help people in general, and people want to help their friends, and they're like, "Yo, this guy's a great human being." John Crowther hooked me up with the Bushwhackers. Didn't charge me a damn fucking penny.
Well,
So
and
I
I
made a lot
understand
of.
that. I agree. Me personally, I would introduce any new artist to just about anyone I know. But what I'm
What I
saying is, there are people out there that are willing to.
but
I had somebody who would
what,
wanted to introduce me to Bill. I can never say his name right.
Bill McKay.
No, Bill Sindinsky.
Yeah, guy who's done he did the Resident Evil covers,
No,
right?
no. Anyway, so there was someone who wanted to introduce me to some higher names in the industry, and it was very, very enticing. If I had the money, I would have thought about it. But I did have somebody who introduced me to one higher artist that was within my range, and it would cost about $2,000 for a cover. And I said, if you get them as my cover artist, I will give you X amount of money. Now, I didn't work out because of the artist's time frame, but again, I
See,
heard
I had a situation like this, and my issue with the situation is that there wasn't communication with the person wanted on a commission level, and this is why it didn't work out. And so it was with I forget, the guy was either Pinky or the Brain. I think he
right,
was Pinky, right? The voice actor, the Pinky, and I was willing to pay for the hookup,
right,
but like, he didn't make it clear, and I'm like, dude, what are we doing here? Like, you gotta actually give me hard numbers, right? If it's $30, tell me it's $30. Like, and so there was a lack of communication, and then I said, this is getting way too complicated, right? So I don't have a problem paying for certain things, but there gets a point where I'm like, this isn't working, right? Like,
Right. Well, I mean, that's dependent on the situation. Like, how much are you willing to pay? Who are you going through? What are the specifics? And you should definitely go into a situation, both sides knowing what you're going to get and how much you're paying for it.
I'm also at the point where I'm like, look, I'm paying the artist directly. Like, what are you offering me? Like at this point, and also it's maybe it's because now I'm established, and maybe I'm not a young creator. Maybe I'm out of touch a little bit.
Well,
But I'm
well, that's a good question, and here's where it's been coming up lately. Okay, so I've got 5 books I put out. You know this, right? I got 5 books, and the hardest thing is to get into these publishers because I don't have a name. But there are editors out there that said, "Hey, what if I can get you in a room with some of these publishers? How much is that worth to you?" Now, that's not exactly the scenario that's happening to me now, but it's similar to the scenario that's happening to me now. I'll tell you about it exactly later, and I don't want to bring X, Y, and Z about it. But let's say, like I said,
no, it's fair enough.
let's say me as a writer wanting to get into a room with Jim Lee, and somebody came to say and said, "I can get you 5 minutes in with him if you pay me X amount of money." Is it worth it?
It's a complicated position, right?
Right. Well, that's why I'm asking, because I'm kind of curious about it myself.
I'll tell you where I'm at, right? I'm at a position where my whole business model is very different right now, right? So obviously I am in the eBay business and I just buy product and I figure out a really hot product to make me a fuck ton of money, right?
Well, yeah,
So
but
like
that's product. You're just buying product.
I'm buying product and I'm buying good product and I take care of my customers and I have repeat customers and my customers are like, dude, you're selling to me for less than what the distributor sell what I could buy for directly. Again, Panini sells a card for $10 for a single card I sell for 7 because I buy it wholesale and I pass the savings on to my customer, right? Everybody's fucking happy and it doesn't, so guess what? My customer has to wait another week. And so, but you save $3. So you want to go buy from Panini for $10, be my guest and wait, and you can get it a week earlier, or you could trust me for another week and you get it for $3 later. It's all about
Right.
we're talking about $3. I'm gonna sleep fine either way, right? And it also happens that I buy product that sells out really quickly. So some of this Angel Reese shit. So maybe I'm out of touch a little bit because I'm not in this space. But again, I'm also in a privileged position where like I've spoken to Comics Lee and when I want to buy wholesale from Sean, I mean
Right.
I can absolutely get that now. But if somebody said, "Hey Andrew, I could get you a conversation with Sean, and it's gonna cost you $10, I might take that bid. But at this point, I have a reputation because I'm not new anymore, right?
Right.
But even still, I was very lucky because my first 4 interviews were Derek Padula, Howard Cruz, who led the gay comics movement, which gave me a lot of credibility. Debbie Derryberry, who plays Zatch Bell and Jimmy Neutron. I'm a huge Zatch Bell fan, and then Bob Fingerman. That was my first 4 interviews. So right out of the gate, I got some credibility. And then
Right.
everybody who I asked afterwards, I mean, I just reached out to Santine Phoenix, I reached out to Jay Photos, I reached out to a lot of freaking people, and I was just in the right place at the right time where my first 50 interviews, man, I got a lot of credibility. So maybe I never had this issue where I had to buy credibility. And,
And
and
and and the thing
maybe I
about
was
it is,
and maybe I
like,
was lucky. I'm the first one to say that maybe I was a stupid young kid who
how long also have you been in it, and how long have you been doing it that you built up that credibility?
that
Let's
was
say
my
you
first
don't have that
year,
time
man.
frame,
That was
huh?
my first year that I just was stupid and fearless.
No, and I agree. There are some things to be,
How the
out there
fucking
and getting
hell
stuff
do you
done.
get the voice of Jimmy Neutron on your show in your first 3 interviews? You have to be a dumb, stupid, lucky kid
No,
to
I'm
do
not talking about luck here, and there's a lot to say about luck, but what I'm talking about is What are other avenues?
Yes, 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 yes. So my point is that I'm talking from my first year experience where I got massive lucky. And
Well, again, we're not talking about luck though.
yes. No, no, no. My point before I let you speak is that I am the exception. I am not the norm because I agree because I spoke to Ed Davis, right? And Ed Davis, what he said about my campaign on Kickstarter said, I would have appreciated for $10 getting an interview as a new creator starting out, getting on a show because it's really hard to do that, right? You're a brand new creator, you know nobody for $10 or $5, you can get on a podcast that's going to give you a guaranteed intro or two or three of them. You need that. It is essential and introduce you to people and help you out. That is helpful. Again, I am not the answer. I just asked and I got massively lucky. There's
Right.
no
And
question.
like I said, there's something to be said for luck, but there's also something to be said for making your own luck. And sometimes you have to go different routes. This option, like I said, has been out there, and I've heard it at least 4 or 5 times. I've heard it with an editor, I've heard it with the project manager, I've heard it with other people in there. So it's like,
I'm pulling up. I'm gonna pull up something. I'm gonna read you an email because
okay.
this is relevant. So continue to talk, but while I pull up the email.
And the thing about it is, it's like, okay, is it worth it to buy a connection? Is it worth it to find somebody that will represent you to one person just so you can get to know them? I think it depends on the price and really where you're going for. I think a lot of people kind of lose track. Some people don't want to pay for advertisement. I think this is just a different form of it. But how do you find these kind of forms? Like I said, I know it's out there. I just don't know, if that's something that other
Let,
people are doing.
let me read you an email because this is relevant. All right. It's from Ty Lopez. Okay. Hey Andrew, I'm back in the U.S. House ski was fun, productive. Record a couple of podcasts with badasses. As long as you remember, always make your money when you travel. Too many people lose money. And then I'm back. I'm choosing 5 people to do a podcast with. Click here to apply to do a podcast together. Let's make your brand and your product famous. Fame is a powerful tool to scale your income. Don't underestimate it, Andrew. Click here to apply to do the podcast. Stay strong, Tyler Lopez, CEO, TylerLopez.com. I clicked the link to do it, right? It's open up right now. I'm doing this in real time for a reason.
Right,
Um, as soon as so basically it's his landing page build, want to do a podcast with Ty, build authority and credibility has never been harder with thousands of people competing for attention. Authority and credibility, it's not easy to stand out. This goes double for a podcast, even if you have an established podcast, which is considered an authority in your niche, which is easy to fall into a full engagement and growth. That's why coming out with a podcast, millions of followers is so powerful. Not only can you reach, so obviously selling you a landing page, right?
right,
Pretty much. Yes, I want to be on pod on be on be on a Ty Lopez podcast. He shows a two images, the iced coffee hour, and he shows something else with uh, fit and fresh. Two images of that. Dominated in 2024, another one. He shows something with Impact Theory with Tom Bayou, of all people. And he's showing all this shit. The Michael Sargent podcast, Driven, 19 Lessons with Mark Cuban. Great, which is like 10 years old. And so now, I want to be on a podcast with Ty Lopez. And then it's a whole thing. Basically, he wants to charge you anywhere from 10 to 50K to for him to interview you or be on a podcast with Ty Lopez. So the 10 grand is just the interview, right? Then it
right,
goes up to like 25 where you could use it for some social media for like a month or two in an
right.
ad. And it's like 50K to use it for like the next 6 months in Facebook ads that he'll potentially show you how to do, right? So this is the piece.
Advertisement.
So basically he's selling the connection, right? And the authority of the connection. That's why I bring up this email, right? So my point about it is that this is what we're talking about, right? It's
Right.
complicated, right? Now, if I don't know if I would pay Ty Lopez 50K for that. I think that I could do legitimately 500 interviews of shows for that same amount. I think I can get the same benefit from it, or I can get a bigger benefit from it. But I get where Ty Lopez is coming from because he's selling you legit authority to his millions of followers. And there's Ty Lopez's, cult following, for lack of a better word. I hate to use the word cult following because I like Ty Lopez's, I like parts of him, right?
I don't know the guy. I'd have to look him up.
It's fine. It's fine. Take my word that it's fair to say that he has some fair lessons for argument's sake. I'm not saying you have to believe him fully. Where I'm going with this is that that's what he's selling, right? I mean, it sounds like he's selling that. I don't think anything I just said is wrong on what he's trying to sell you, right?
Right.
I think it's relevant to this connection component, right? I don't think me buying a $25,000 commission from Jim Lee is a connection.
Okay, so
I developed connections with Zenesco, with Ralph.
and like I said, you've done it through different ways, and sometimes there's luck, and sometimes there's not luck. For the people who don't have luck and don't exactly go about the way,
I just asked.
would they? Well, and then sometimes it just takes asking. Don't get me wrong, because like I said, I've met some amazing people in the past 2-3 years that I never thought I would meet. But having said that, I don't think those connections really furthered my career the way I wanted to. So it's like, what if I had somebody that would introduce me to Source Point Press, or they would introduce me to Dark Horse on my behalf? And I'm not talking about me, but I'm talking about other artists. Would it be worth them to get that connection? Would other people? But so there's another
questions, right? Yeah. This is sorry to cut you off, but
no problem.
I'll give you an example, right? Let's say that I interviewed somebody who had a good connection with Scout, right? So could you introduce me to the CEO of Scout, right? I just wanted to, and somebody's like, "Oh, dude, I'm gonna hook you up, man, right? I'm not gonna charge." Like if I've interviewed somebody who, like Travis gave us a good example. I love Travis. Travis is great.
Right.
If
Travis is a great guy.
Yeah, Travis is a great guy. I love Travis. I love what he does with this Neverland stuff. I think Voodoo Nations is a good book. I think Broke Down in 4 Dead Bodies is his best work, and I told him that. He knows
I think his new one's coming out in bookstores this week. Gambler, the Hands of Judas.
Yeah.
Gamblers. Second issue's coming out this week. Anyway, that's beside the point. Go on.
but like, I would like Travis to introduce me to somebody from like, if you know the head of Scout, like that connection should be granted to me. Where like, him, could you throw me a good, position for me? And
would you be willing to pay him though?
But I don't expect to, right?
Well, no, that's not the point. Let's say it's not you. Let's say it's another writer, creator.
So I will table this in a different way. If I'm looking to pitch to Scout, if Travis, I'd be willing, if Travis could help me set up a meeting or something of that nature, maybe we could talk money or percentage. For an interview, I would not be. Because an interview, I feel the bargaining bag is that I'm giving you publicity. Everybody needs publicity.
Yeah, but
so
and Travis have kind of a familiarity, like I said. If it wasn't somebody he knew.
No. Where I'm going with this is that on an interview basis, I don't know if payment is the correct return, right? But if I want to pitch level, right? No, I'm trying to get to the point here, right? So if somebody could help me get into Scout, right?
Right.
I would agree, right? If I'm trying to interview somebody, that's a different discussion, right? Because
so let me ask you this. Okay, so you were talking about your field, because I think it's the same way. Have you heard of Bobby Altoff?
I have not.
Okay, so she just started doing her podcast less than a year ago, and what she did was she went out there and said, "Hey, if anybody knows this famous person, I will pay them." I think it was somewhere between $100 to $300. If you can get them to contact me for an interview, I'll pay you this amount of money. And she went out and put it on Facebook, Instagram, and it blew up. She not only got that person, but afterwards she got Drake, then she got Mark Cuban, then she started getting other celebrities, and her podcast is astronomical right now. I don't know if you've ever heard of her or seen her, but
But it gets complicated, right? Because once you start throwing out money, you now have a money trap, right?
the thing about it, what she did was she started it for the first interview. Second one came to her for free, and then after that, it became a business. So what she did was she invested it in a unique way by getting that interview.
So I get it, right? But the question becomes is the person right now even at the level that they need to be at, right? Because this is where it gets
But she
complicated.
wasn't. She didn't have any famous interviews.
Yes, I get it, but what I've learned in my life, and this is just my experience, maybe I'm wrong on this, and I have no problem admitting it, is that I've taken a different approach where I've cut my teeth. I
Right.
am now getting good as an interviewer, right? So I am ready to interview a Mark Cuban, right? That girl or that woman or that man, whatever, I don't know
Bobby,
exactly.
she's a girl.
Fair enough. Again, I don't assume here. She was not ready to interview Mark Cuban, right?
Oh,
So
it was a huge interview. It was a great one too.
I'm sure of it. But my point though that is that Mark Cuban's also a very good person who can carry it. I've had Eddie Kingston on from AEW before he was AEW. Eddie Kingston carried me through an interview. So my point is that some guests know how to carry somebody, but my point is that there's a position where I just take a different approach, right? So
Well,
I'm
yeah, and I understand, but the point I'm making is,
no, I hear you. I hear you. Connections are worth money, right? I want to grow
are
organic.
there people are there people who pay to introduce make connections for you? Are there people out there? Because I mean, like I said, I've already met one or two. There's
But
got
how
to
do
be
you
more, right?
evaluate those though? That's the key though, right? So if you spend $500 to pay somebody for a connection, right? Because that's the key though, is the
So
person.
this brings me to my next question. You made a post, or you had a guest on your show that asked,
Name the
is it
guest.
worth?
Name it.
Huh?
Who was the guest? Was it Marcel?
No, it was a guest that I didn't really approve of. I forget his name. Was it Marcel?
Marcel, was it Marcel about the whole thing? Because you can name the guest. I don't
Yeah,
have a problem
yeah.
naming the guest.
He made a post about saying, shouldn't you do advertisement more than production or something like that?
I mean,
So
Tyler Carpenter talks about this all the time too. So let's
so
not.
so
He
my
does
question is, why not put it into paying somebody to make you a connection than it is for you to go into advertisement or making more copies? Right now, right now I'm at a stalemate. Like I said, I'm trying to.
I'm at an inflection point in my business, so I get it completely.
So
I
I'm
get it
like,
completely. I mean, look, I was not cash flowing. I was cash flowing
and,
50
and like I said, I've
hours.
had an opportunity. Somebody came to me and said, "Hey, I can get you a connection with X person for X amount of money."
Let me put
And
it.
to me, I thought it
Put
was
it
worth
different,
it.
right?
Huh?
I'll explain how I feel, right? Somebody can make me a connection with Panini and Tops. I'll pay them a lot of money right now.
Well, that's what I'm saying. There's got to be people out there that makes connections. How do you find them?
Of
And
course.
is it worth it to other people, or is it just me thinking that it's worth it?
So I will deal. So I've taken a different approach where I've taken an organic approach. I have no problem admitting that I've taken an organic approach. I think that there's money that can be made. Now, I was at my friend's wedding, right? And he has a cousin who was shooting a commercial with Nia Nurse or Kia Nurse. I forget if it's Nia or Kia, but it's not important. I forget what team she plays for, right? It's not
Right?
important. But the idea is that I kind of blew the deal where he was going to hook me up with some autograph cards. I was just, it just didn't work out. Partially because I got messed the fuck up at my friend's wedding. But it's not the point here. We all make choices that sometimes don't work out, right?
Right.
No. But anyway, the position I have is that he's a good connection to know because again, I don't know when he's gonna shoot a commercial with somebody else that could be beneficial to me. But that's the point is that again, I would have paid for that connection. Again, if there was 2 or 3 weeks, would have sent him cards, would have got a bunch of autograph cards for free, would have been great. I would have been happy. Would have not even on a money level. It would have been a personal collection. But the point is that sometimes connections are free, sometimes connections are expensive. But again, if somebody introduced me to Tops or Michael Rubin, who runs Fanatics, who just bought, you don't think I wouldn't pay,
So, like I said,
to get that connection to Michael Rubin?
There's got to be people who are willing to take a payment to give you a connection. Where are these people? Where can you find them?
But John Crowther hooked me up with the Bushwhackers for free. So it's like, again, it's
but you don't get to steer that all the time. Like right now, I would pay, for a connection to one of the editors in Dark Horse because I'd love to be in Dark Horse. I've never talked to them. I don't know how to talk to them. I don't know if I got any friends that know any Dark Horse people.
Do you feel though? So do you, let me ask this to you because I think this is relevant. Do you feel you have to pay, or do you feel because this becomes the question of there's two types of positions here. You could buy clout, or you could buy access.
How do you buy clout? How do you buy clout?
Let me explain. So I'm going to explain the two positions before I get into it. If you don't mind, can I explain? So there's a theory I was reading. I don't know. Do you know ClickFunnels? Russell Branson, or I forget whatever his name is. Fuck, I can't think of his last name right now. He's the head of ClickFunnels. He has 3 books, and there's a whole thing about where you could buy, media, or you could earn media, and both have positions. So you could earn a way into something, right? Or you could buy it, right? So buying a connection, both have merit, right? There's no question about it. So you and me have earned this connection, right?
Right.
You have earned influence into my show, right? Most people, either I ask or somebody asks me, and it's a fantastic conversation, right? Like, yo, I would love to interview. I love your cosplay. So I'm speaking to a porn star right now. We're negotiating the interview. I really want to interview her and her wife. It's going to be a fantastic interview. I hope I get it. I don't know if it's going to work out. It's going to be awesome. I don't want to say her name yet. I'll say it private to you. You might know who she is. But I mentioned another interview, and she just shot with her in like a big media thing. She's like, holy shit, you've interviewed this person? Like, the conversation changed when I interviewed that person, right? We're figuring this out. It may or may not work out. It's not important, right? But the point is that I would love to interview you and your wife for your Indiegogo porno shoot that you're shooting out there. So it's not hard to figure out who I'm talking about right now for those who are watching or seeing this later on. It's going to take you about 10 seconds to figure out who I'm interested in interviewing and why. But we're having a very interesting conversation about OnlyFans. Over OnlyFans of all things about this negotiating. But anyway, the point I'm making is that I'm trying to earn my way into that.
Well, and I understand that.
But if she says it's gonna but I've also, and I hate to say this, I bought interviews for $10. Like, I charge a $10 fee, and I'm like, done, no problem.
So I've been out there. You know me. I've been out there for the past 2 or 3 years, going to every convention that I could go to, meeting every person that I can, and I've met a lot of people. I've met some publishers. I've been into 2 publishing companies myself, but I feel like my career has just been stagnant. It hadn't really moved, and it hadn't moved the right way. So now, whenever I came across this recent opportunity, it wasn't that I was looking to pay somebody to introduce me. I was trying to meet people, and this person came to me and said, hey, this is who I know. This is what I can do for you. This is how much it would cost. And they basically said, I'll be your representative. I'm going to pretend to be your best friend, and I'm going to go introduce you to my other friend, and I'm going to get you in a room with them for at least 15 minutes. And I'm like, that sounds good. Now, having said that, like I said, this wasn't the first time this kind of opportunity came about. But to me, I'm like thinking to myself, if this opportunity came about, there's got to be other people that are willing to
So
make a connection
I
for you.
agree. I agree. In which that I get it. In which that
How
I
do you
have
find
no
them?
problem. But I'm also at a stage where I'm like, I
Well, I
mean,
mean, I'm not talking about you per se. I'm not even talking about me, really. I'm talking about like the average other person.
so me and Ed Davis were speaking about this when I was running my campaign, and he said for $10 to get a guaranteed interview when I'm a brand new creator who has no clout and knows nothing. Yeah, it's $10 is nothing in the long run. Your first interview, right? But it's like, I mean, I just interviewed Beth Pierce. She's a brand new voice actress. She just did her first interview. My first, I mean, I've done a bunch of first interviews. I mean, people don't understand. Sasha Nakamoto, I was her first interview. Lilith Fukumoto, I don't know if you've seen these, right? Was her first interview. Evie Akakashido, I think is how you say her last name, was her first interview. I don't know if I was Akaido from Jack Games. I don't know if I was her first interview, but I was one of her early ones. Again, there's plenty of people who would pay a lot of money, and you're a brand new creator who has no backing and no clout. I mean, Sasha Nakamoto, Lilith, and Evie all have clout on StreamYard or StreamMate. I mean, they're all virtual Camgo, so I can have a better word here, and I say that nicely as I nicely can say it. But again, when you're a brand new creator. I mean, Ed Davis comes out with the Immortal Error. Ed Davis is not known, right? I think most people would pay $5 for an interview if they're brand new, because how many creators do you know who are just launching a book and have no fucking idea what they're doing, and it's just their first book and they struggle to get interviews? Again,
Right.
I don't want to take and necessarily a brand new fucking creator who is raw, right? Like you're seasoned at this point to be on my show, right?
Right.
Like I don't want a brand new creator who's shy and like doesn't
Yeah,
know
but
their
you're
shit.
talking about the levels that you're at. I'm talking about
No, but we're talking about that entry level, right?
right.
So like this is where I'm going with this is that there's a reason why I'm trying to bring it back down to you and me are at level 8, right? For or level 10 or level 20, whatever you want to call that,
I
right?
don't think I'm that high, but okay.
No. But we're no longer at this level where we are no longer raw. Is that a fair statement?
Sure.
But let's say that you were brand spanking new. You don't know and this is your first interview. I might pass you over as to be a guest on my show, right?
And the thing about it is that I've always told people this, in the past year or so. If this was an alphabet, I'm not level A. I'm probably level B or C, but I'm
I'm at the
so
level
far away from Z.
B or E at this point,
Right.
and so you
And
coming
and
at
the
me
point
as
is,
A.
the
I have
point
to
is,
really love your project, right? And this is what I'm not trying to be an asshole about this,
right,
but like it's rare that I will take a level A on my show
right.
at this point.
Well, and the thing about it is, though, I'm not talking about your show per se. I'm talking about in the lane that you're trying to be in. Let's say I was an actor. Let's say I
Hmm.
was an actor. Would an actor pay to meet a director?
But this is the question of an agent, right? So like this is where I'm going with this is that if you're level A, right, you might not be able to get an agent, right? And this is why what happened is, but if I say, cool, I'll take it for $5 or $10, there's been people who paid me $10 to be on my show, without a doubt. So like they're willing to pay $10 because that puts them to a level C immediately because they understand that I gotta make some money here, right? And they get it immediately that, hey, look, I'm not at the level, and you're a level C show when we're level 3. We could use numbers, we could use letters, whatever we want to use. but I understand that I have to pie my way in the short term. Now, if they come around for a second or third term, they might be further along, and I can no longer ask them for money, right? And this is the whole premise of my Kickstarter, right? That I got a lot of shit for. Is I don't think people understood that it's pay to play, right?
Well,
This is crystal
at our
clear.
level, a lot of people don't believe in paying to play. At our level,
But guess what? People also don't understand that you want to guarantee, right? So I understand that I got 3 or 400 options a year. What's gonna make you excited about me to interview you? Because guess what? Most projects don't interest me. I hate to say it, it sounds like I'm a dick, right? But
no, I
like
understand.
I get it
You
that
should be able to pick and choose who's on your show.
I do. I do. I've come to the conclusion that I don't really like your project. No, thank you. Somebody just asked me. I'm like, nope, I'm not interested in your fucking project. I pull.
But I'm not talking about a show per se. I mean, I'm
But, but,
talking about
but
making
no, no, I
connections.
get it. But the reason why I equate it back to the show is because when you're a brand new or you're anybody, let's say that you're a mid-level comic person, you're trying to level up. It's tricky because you have to figure out, am I going to earn my way into a company like Scout or Dark Horse, or am I going to buy my way in? And that's what it comes down to. It's genuinely an issue that, and none of these positions are wrong. I mean, this
Well,
is,
see, I think it's kind of funny that you put it that way.
I mean, this is the only way I could put it. I don't know how
Well,
else
the
to
reason
put
I
it.
say that is because I had a conversation with a friend of mine, and she was saying, you
Who's
know,
the friend?
there's a million
Name.
wrestlers out there, right? There's a million wrestlers out there, and out of those million wrestlers out there, half of them are really talented. But of those half, you might not get any of them famous because they don't know anybody. On the other hand, if you get somebody who's not talented and they know somebody,
Throw a number out there. I mean, Alec Price. Alec Price and Wheeler Yuta.
well,
Dude, Alec Price is known all over the world. Do you know who Alec Price is?
I don't know.
Oh my God, you're deprived as a human being. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
You're now you were ranked to 10 in my world. You're now ranked an 8. Um, Alec Price had a WWE tryout,
Yeah.
and his tryout I think went well, but I think he might have said either WWE wasn't interested in him or he wasn't interested in WWE. He's on the Indies, and the guy is making more money on the Indies, and he's an exceptional wrestler, and he's only getting bigger. He's
Well,
only,
and I
but,
understand that, but
but,
that's making your own path. That's
no,
not.
no, 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 no. He chose to be in Massachusetts and New England because he knew WWE would be watching him. He's going to be in WWE and NXT in the next 2 to 3 years. He understands that he's making less money in wrestling open and being in a prime spot that gets 10 to 12,000 people viewing it every single week, and he is making minimum wage wrestling because he understands what it means to have viewership. He understands that he's making more money by making less money. It's a complicated position. He understood, and I mean, I got an interview. I'm a big Alec Price guy. Obviously, I'm a little biased, but I understand where he's at, and I understand what he understood is that when he wants his WWE contract and his NXT contract, it's not going to be 120,000, which is probably what it's gonna what they think that it's gonna be more like 350,000 minimum starting point because he's gonna bring all of his experience and clout, and he's a young kid and he's smart because he understands the clout behind it and the connections he brings. That's my point about wrestling is that he's becoming an indie famous guy. And he might say, fuck you to WWE. I don't need you. And WWE might say, we're gonna give you a lot of fucking money because we need you.
Yeah, but that again, like I said, that's him going his own direction.
The point is that you brought up wrestling, and it's the idea that there's a lot of famous wrestlers who don't understand what he's done. He's built the following.
But like I said, there are probably a million wrestlers out there, and out of the million wrestlers, you know, half of the talented ones aren't going to make it.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree, but
So what if you were one of those talented ones and said, why don't I pay for a connection to have a sit down with Triple H or Tony Khan or someone? You know, why
I
not
agree.
why not pay to make that connection? And like I said, there's got to be people out there that there's got to be more people, because I've came across a few people and I'm like, is it worth it? And before I said no, in all honesty, except for one exception,
I'll be
and
right
that
back.
was
I
that.
gotta let the dog out. You
No
can keep
problem. And
talking.
it was that cover artist, and because it didn't go through because of the artist's time, I didn't really go along with the person who um, introduced me, I guess you could say. But they were going to take basically a commission for the cover art, basically. And it just got me thinking, if there were those people out there that, were willing to make those connections prior to that, there's got to be more people out there that are willing to make other connections for them. My question really is, how do you find them? Because I came and stumbled across these few that I kind of had, and I'm like, do other artists look for people to pay to make a connection? I mean, they're not exactly advertised, and it's not been something that I looked for. But now it's like, why not look? I guess that's where I'm kind of going with this. It also kind of made me, intrigued with the whole Jim Lee commission thing, because you're not paying just for Jim Lee the artist. Here's somebody predominant in the comic book industry who's going to be giving you art, basically, or doing a piece of work for you. So you're going to probably be able to meet him at least for a second or two. So that's kind of where it had brought me. It was like, there's got to be more people.
I mean, again, as I feel, it's that if somebody can introduce me to certain voice actors or certain positions or certain, people in the industry. I mean, I'll put it this way, right? If somebody can introduce me to a company that I could buy at wholesale from, more than happy to pay for an introduction, right? If there's money to be made, right? Now, I'm in a position where a lot of that can be just done through asking at this point, because on indie comics, if I ask Dustin Burnell, who runs Ethereal, I don't think he's in mind me saying that, or Mike Wheeler, can I buy from you at a wholesale level? Chances are somebody's like, okay, cool. How much would I need to buy from you at a wholesale level, right? So those responses usually are not hard to make, right? But at the same time, if there's an artist like Art Gem, if somebody could introduce me to Art Gem, you know, and for an interview, I think it's a little bit different than producing doing a cover, right? I think the standard for an introduction to Art Gem on an interview is different than a standard on a cover, right, or a piece of art, because one of those things is a soft asset versus a hard asset. So
Right. But I mean, you're talking about a connection. It's still a connection.
yes,
My question really is,
I'm not.
are there people out there that are willing to make connections for you? If they are, where do you find them?
So obviously my father has connections, right? My father is an attorney.
Right.
And I mean, some of his connections have come in weird ways. We cross examined somebody, and then after the trial, the guy said, I can't have you ever cross examining me again. I'm going to put you on retainer for life. And it turns out that it's been a very lucrative position for my father. Where the obviously the guy is a landlord. They deal with hundreds of millions of dollars, right? So it just so happens that the guy could my father's a very good litigator, and he like destroyed the guy's like, I can't ever do this again with you. I'm sorry. Um, and then that connection led to something else, and led to something else, and led to something else. Because when people have millions and hundreds of millions of dollars to play with. They usually know about 20 other fucking people who are very
Right.
useful. It also happens in my position, and I'm sure in your position to some degree. Person A knows person B, who knows person C, and at least in my experience is people want to help other people, right? That's my experience, and maybe it's just I've gone from one to two to three to four to five, and I've done it
Yeah,
organically.
but I think it's different whenever you're willing to help somebody, and then
I've
if
also
you
done it
got some
slowly.
skin in the game.
I've also done it slowly, right? I've done it massively slowly, right? There's no question about it. If you want to do it quickly, you might have to pay for it, right? So if you're looking 800 interviews in and me doing 150 voice actors, if you want to do 150 voice actors in 3 years, you might have to buy some of those interviews.
Well, like I was saying, as that example with that girl Bobby Alta, she basically paid for that first interview, got lucky with the second, and then after that, this big firm, this like podcast firm, basically picked her up and kind of
But I've seen this also go the other way too, where I've seen people buy interviews with like Evan Carmichael's, who does some like the 10 Rules show and all that stuff. And he breaks down CEOs and he breaks down like clips of that shit. And then I've seen that girl disappear out of nowhere. So she's been hot, she's trying to sell a course, and then she disappears. And she hasn't been around ever since. So I've seen it go the other way too,
right,
right?
and I believe that. But the point is, where are these people that will get paid to make connections? So you were talking about your father. You were talking about your father, and you
yeah.
told me some of the people that your father knew, right?
I
So
mean, I
let's.
can't mention their names,
I'm
but
not. I'm not mentioning their names. So let me say, let me say, if I wanted you to make a connection for me, how much would it cost?
it's tricky. It's tricky.
Well, see, that's the thing. Where
I don't
there
know.
are
I don't know.
people.
See. I genuinely don't know because celebrity on this level, some of these people might do it for free. To be honest,
Well, there are. So me and my son went to a convention.
I know for a fact that two or three of these people would do it for free. I
So
I know it. I know it. And then
so why hadn't you made the connection for me?
because
No.
I
Okay.
want. Let me put it this way, right? Let me put it this way, right? So for there are certain celebrities that my father has represented that it's just a matter of just at the right opportunity at the right moment. And let's just say that if I want certain people on my show at a certain point, I can potentially get it, but I'm
Yeah.
waiting. Let's just say that my father is probably going to a Knicks game with a certain person he represented. He did a great job within the next year and a half, and that might open up an opportunity for me. And my dad will mention it casually, and I will probably get a 30-minute interview with a very prominent celebrity, right? Very,
Right.
very, very prominent.
And the thing about it is, like I said, me and my son went to a convention. My son introduced himself to one of the actors there, and this is an actor who played in one of the Star Wars shows, TV shows, not the movies. He was a UFC fighter and a person who played on Star Wars. Okay, he gave my son his number. Told my son, call me anytime, and my son's called him a few times. But I wouldn't exactly make that connection for anybody else because that's my son's friend.
it's tricky, right?
Yeah, and but my point is there are people out there willing to make that connection for you at a price. How do you find these people
So
who are
so
willing to make that
so
connection?
so so, so again, right? Like I have connections. My dad has connections, and I know a lot of people. But like, I don't know how to sell certain things, right? Like I'm not in a position to brokerage a position, right? We go through this. I'll mention Jeffrey Haas. I mean, I don't know
Yeah,
if I can. He was representing a bunch of people, and then he wasn't paying me. And then when I found out that I'm not getting a fucking cent, I'm like, fuck you, bro. And then because again, that's the problem too, is that what happens if I'm brokeraging a deal and person A is getting paid, person B is getting paid, but person C is not getting paid. It's a fuck you situation. And
Well,
these
and I agree that there are things that are delicate
it,
whenever it comes to making connections and
it's
all that good stuff.
very, very hard. So like for instance, my dad has been in the position where he's connected person A to person B, but he understood that he was making money on the legality of it. So him as
So
the broker was making money because he was representing person A and person C. He was technically person B. Honestly, these weren't celebrities. This was just business to business,
right,
right? It's dealing with an ice skating ring, right? And everybody could help everybody, right? This is just good business, right? He understands that if he person A and person C can help each other to do a lot of good business, and they're gonna have legality work in the future. So why wouldn't my dad want to help his both his clients, right? Or at least have a lunch with them, right? And see what they could do together because they can help each other, right? So my dad knows that person A is gonna have legal work in the future and person C is gonna have legal work. Why not help this both of them out, right?
it's
So
just kind
again,
of word of mouth kind of thing now.
and it was a great lunch. I don't know if anything happened of it. I don't want to say but I'm speaking very general. But like my point is that I understand that I know how to help out my friend Eric with some shit. I introduce Eric to people, and then Eric introduces me to people, and I'm in a bar, and it's the same premise with a girl, right? Like me and my friend Eric back 2 years ago, there was these two girls I went to high school with, and I was smart enough, and I'm like, oh yeah, I went to high school with them. Let's go talk to them, Eric. I'm like, oh yeah, I played soccer with you, and I remember you and Art, and then my friend Eric was really interested in this girl Caitlin. And I was okay with this girl Dominique. Like, oh yeah, I remember playing soccer with you. It was good times, and I remember art with you. And then I kind of make the introduction to Eric, and Eric and Caitlin hit it off a little bit. I mean, Dominique kind of went to go get a beer, right? But like the reason why I bring it up is that that's a very basic connection. And I let
Right, but again,
but it goes back
that's
to that,
kind of
right?
word of mouth or like friendship kind of thing. That's not where it's a business transaction where you're paying somebody to
Oh, of
make
course it
money.
was a business transaction because Eric then bought me beer for like the next 2 weeks. Great. But I was thrilled, right?
Okay, so this brings me to another subject, kind of along the same lines. Have you heard of the? Is it an app? I don't know. It's called Cameo. Have you heard of this?
Oh, yeah, I know Cameo.
Okay.
You know my neck? You know my neck too? Oh,
Yeah, yeah, that's what I was about to bring up. So there is this app that you can pay to get professional advice from people, right?
really?
This is the one that you just brought up. I wasn't going to mention the name, but
Patrick David, my man. I know
yeah.
Patrick David. I'm a big Patrick David
So
fan.
so I kind of stumbled onto this yesterday. And whenever I stumbled onto it, there was a person that I've been talking to in a professional capacity that I couldn't get a hold of again. And I'm like, I would love to get a hold of them again. So this app charges you,
For a minute.
well, in three different ways. It's like if you want to text message to them and then receive one back, if you want to text message to them and get a voicemail back, or if you want to get a video call per minute. Is this worth it?
It depends. It depends. Let's talk about this, right? So Kevin O'Leary did this where he's on Cameo, right? And let's say Kevin O'Leary says, you know, John's pet cleaning business is the best business, and John does a great job. And then you could use it.
Cameo's cheap though. I mean, people can see through that easy.
But Kevin Lee is charging 1,500, right? Or let's say Kevin Lee is charging 15, 2 grand, and I forget Kevin O'Leary was on the Daily Show with the guest host, and they were calling bullshit on Kevin O'Leary. Kevin O'Leary, I think,
Is there
defends.
a payoff to the Cameo though?
Yeah, but you could use it for verification, authority, credibility, whatever you want to use it. And let's be realistic here. You're shaking your head, but it does provide some credibility, right?
No,
I'm
it
not
does.
saying, but no, I disagree. So my point that I'm getting at here is that it provides some credibility, and depending on how you want to use it, if you're savvy enough, you could fucking use that shit crazy. I took a picture with Angelina Love and Velvet Sky a while back in New York Comic Con. I post that picture up every once in a while on Twitter. It gets a lot of tweets. Velvet Scott retweets it. It's great. And then I get 3 or 4 followers on Twitter, right? I'm not making a fuck ton of money, but it gets a bunch of likes. I post it on Facebook, gets a bunch of likes, gets people looking at me in an interesting way. I look good in the photo. It's awesome, right? So you can make a position where cool, you're buying authority. It's the whole Ty Lopez argument again, right? But my neck, on the other hand, and the reason why I bring this up is that if somebody can explain to me my issue, so I'm in a program with Hello Alice, right? Hello Alice is a entrepreneur program where they do consulting for every quarter on a new topic, right? They were talking about negotiations and for an hour, the last round. It's all free, right? You can sign up for it. They give grants, they do a bunch of shit, right? But if somebody can give me consulting, either paid or free, for an hour that could change my life, I'd pay somebody an hour. If they could say, Andrew, here's how you do wholesale on cards and get your costs for these top cards down from 450 to a dollar. But you
Oh,
gotta
isn't that what Manek does?
but if somebody on my neck is in my field and says, dude, I'm gonna fucking solve your fucking problems, and it's gonna cost you 200
Well,
bucks.
that's the thing though. It's not guaranteed.
But
It's
I
like
don't know.
advertisement. It's like getting an advertiser. They're not promising you anything.
But
You go into Manek
if
and
you have
it's
a
just,
video call on my neck, and it's like seems like I'm a card collector, and I've been doing this, and I buy cards for a dollar, and I sell them for $40, and I'm gonna help you figure it out, and not
well,
necessarily.
there's plenty of people on there that are entrepreneurs that are in buying and selling that could give you advice there. Like I said, there's this person on there, and
Let's
I've
not
been
talk about Vinny, Paul. Vinny's
yeah.
a good man. He does not need to get so heated in debates. He's got to just take a calmness approach. He's got to find his zen. Okay, Paul? It's all right that you're a Vinny fan. It's all right.
No. So listen, I'm not trying to be Vinny. Here's the thing, though.
Paul, let me stop you right there. Adam is okay too.
Yeah.
We don't need to beat the shit out of Adam just because he hasn't found a wife yet. Does not mean he's gay. We don't need to hurt him here today. Just because he's into the nightlife and
But
he.
here's the thing. So
All
advertisement,
this is not about Adam here. I want to make that crystal clear.
advertisement,
You gotta
advertisement
get over
doesn't
it.
guarantee you
You gotta
anything.
get over it, Paul. I understand your love for Adam and Vinny is strong. We know Tom is okay. His daughter is going to a great school. We're not worried about Tom. And Patrick needs to stop making kids here, okay? We got 5 of them. We don't need his 6. Patrick Bet David, you got 5 opportunities, and you don't get a 6th one, Patrick. But anyway, continue, Paul, please.
I think a lot of people are going to be going, "Who's he talking about?" Anyway, so okay, Manek is not guaranteed. Advertisements are not guaranteed. Cameo, I think honestly, is like going to a convention,
It
paying to
depends
get a
what
photo
you're
with someone, huh?
So my sister brought my dad for Father's Day a cameo of Keith Hernandez wishing my dad a happy Father's Day. There's
That's
nothing.
nice.
It was lovely. It was great,
Yeah,
right?
it's nice.
So there's nothing wrong with that. There was
But
no
it's fake.
commercial element of that, right?
It's fake. There are commercial elements on some of the stuff though.
No. My dad wasn't using that for his business.
Right. If you're not using it for your business, it's fine. But if you're using it for your business, people know it's fake.
You understand how I separated that? Where my dad's a New York Mets fan, I'm a New York Mets fan, so it was just a nice gift, right? For $100.
Well, and again, I've used it. I've used it for my wife, and I got her a real nice video message from one of her favorite stars. But your business, it's fake. Most people can tell it's fake And if you're brand new in the industry like me, and I get a star up there like Matthew McConaughey going, his comic is all right, all right, all right. No, you know it's fake. Most of the time, it has that little cameo on it too. But what I'm saying is, there are people that make you connections out there that are willing, if you pay them, to be a speaker on your behalf and make you other connections. Where are they at? Benek is a great app, but all it is going to give you advice. I think there are some people on there that I would want advice from, and I think it's worth it. Because, like I said, there was that one guy I was in contact with, and I couldn't get in contact with him anymore because he didn't have any emails anywhere. He didn't have anything, but I could get in contact with him on my neck. But is it worth it?
It depends. I mean, you got to put. I mean, again. I've gotten to the point where what I need now, and look, I said it before, that I just need to have a contact in Tops. But maybe that contact is me just saying, look, guys, I want to buy from you at a wholesale level, and I want to spend $1,000 a month with you guys. And maybe Tops will say, okay, we're in, man. We get it, you know, or somebody from Tops might say, is you've been with us for a while, and we have no problem. This is what you need if you want to wholesale with us.
Yeah, but that's again, you're making that relationship kind of thing. I'm talking about
Again, though, again, I'm also in a different position, right? If I was starting brand new, a lot of what I would do to establish connections is saying, hey, I would love to be in your show. Here's what I could offer, right? And then somebody says, hey, I'm booked. Maybe I would offer money. If I was a brand new comic creator and I needed some connections, they would say, hey, Andrew. But also, for starters, if you're a brand new creator, you can say, hey, man, I would love to be on the show. Who do you know? Maybe you got to ask first without money. And then if you're not getting anywhere, then you say, hey, look.
Well, and I've been in the business for 3 years now.
Can you introduce me, right?
I haven't been getting introduced to people. So it's like, that's why I'm looking outside the realm of.
I've asked this position, right? I've said, could you introduce me to somebody? Do you know somebody in this industry? Who do you have friends on? And this is even now I ask this question. I say, what can you bring to the table, right? Because I look at this on a negotiation level, right? So there's people I want to hang out with, right? There's people I don't want to hang out with. So, but like, I even look at this and say, who do you know? Like, but a lot of people in this industry don't know shit, right?
But a lot of people don't want to make the connections for you. They want to keep the connections to themselves. And I understand. But a lot of people in the comic industry are selfish.
And this is why I've gotten out of this shit, right?
But I'm not talking about leaving. I'm talking about broadening my range. And I'm like, if there are people out there to make the right connection for me.
I'll tell you how I feel. And this is a social media position, right? The second I stopped going on people's shows and interacting with comics, I started gaining a lot more followers on social media. I started gaining a lot more money. And I started saying, look, I'm not going to play your stupid bullshit game anymore. I'm going to go do.
I'm agreeing with you. But like I said, there's got to be a different way.
But what I figured out is that I'm gonna go on this path, and my friend Dustin Burnell said it best. I'm a train, I'm going my path. If our tracks intersect at a certain point, that's great. We can do something together while we're intersecting. But I'm turning left, and you're either going straight, turning right, or doing something else, or you're going left with me, right?
Well, I'm going my own way.
But that's what Dustin was explaining, is that Ethereal Press is going this way. You could join us on another path, but at some point we're going to turn right, and you're going to turn right with us, and you could join us on this path, but you're on a different track than us.
I'm on a different track.
but again, going back to the point is that at some point you're going to turn left and I'm going to turn right, and maybe in 4 or 5 or a year from now we're going to intersect again. We can do something together. That's fantastic. But this is where I'm at, right? This is how I feel. Is that. But there's going to be a point where, like, I'm now having a conversation with a porn star about interviewing her. and interviewing her wife, who happens to be transgender. And it's going to be crazy. It's going to be a fun interview. It's going to be a lot of fun if I get this interview, right? Because there's
But
a
what I'm saying is,
questions, right? And I don't know how people are going to feel about it, but I don't give a fuck.
I'm not talking about going different routes. What I'm talking about is taking my stuff to the next
But,
level.
but what I'm going to ask after the interview is, can you interview me to T.S. Foxy? Can you interview me to this person? Can you interview me to Ashley Aspen? All these people are relevant into my sector, right? So when I want to make connections after an interview, I say, hey, could you do me a solid? Is there a way you can introduce me to person X?
Yeah, but that's the way you're choosing to go, is just the word of mouth
I
and
think
connection.
it's the right. I think it's the easiest and cheapest way. I think it's the most authentic way
But
because
in the comic industry, that's not the way things work out. I mean, I haven't been introduced to anybody.
but my experience as an interviewer maybe is a little bit different than you, where I interviewed
Well, it
Paul,
is.
and so I got Denny O'Neil partially because I interviewed Howard. So I said, hey, I'm at Manhattanville College, and Paul Levitz recommended your book to me, and I would love to interview you. And so when I started mentioning names like that, that's how I've gotten interviews. And then all of a sudden you're interviewing Paul Levitz, you got Howard Cruz, you get Denny O'Neil, and then I've gotten one to one to one to one to one, and I've built a reputation, right? And so I got my email answered, and then all of a sudden you got Denny O'Neil, Paul Levitz, and then somebody like I'm trying to like, I mean, Scott Snyder follows me on Twitter. I mean, he doesn't
So
follow me.
everybody tells me the best way to sell your comics or sell yourself is to build your popularity, right? Advertise, get out there more. Why put that money into that if you've been doing it for 3 years and it hasn't really got you anywhere?
Again, I've just gone one to one to one to one, and then all of a sudden one to one to one goes to two to two to two, and so I've done it that way. I've made
But I
strategic.
mean, how many years is it going to take you to get to that next level?
I mean, I don't know how. I'm getting to the next level, but I've also done things on social media that have evolved me. I'm now getting to a point where it's not just me making connections; it's also me saying, "Cool, like, where am I looking at? I look at companies. I target companies. I target ideas. I target properties, right? So, like, a lot of what and now I'm taking a swing outside of Broadway, right? So I'm going way more indie now. I'm getting way more funky, right? I'll be honest with you. I mean, why I want to, I'll mention who I'm trying to target because it's relevant now is Robin Coffins and Sabrina Havoc, and they're doing Neon Vampires 2 on Indiegogo. I mean, that's like, I mean, it's definitely a pornographic, project on Indiegogo, and I'm like, this is fascinating now. You're trying to crowdfund a porno on Indiegogo. I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued, honey. Like no offense. Like this now has my appetite and my beak is excited, right? Because this is a crowdfunder, B, it's Indiegogo, it's porn, and you and your wife are kind of cute and hot. And there's a million questions I got. And I'm like, we got vampires and we got porn and we got some crazy shit going on. And I'm now intrigued, right? I also recognize that if I interview Robin and her wife, they're going to introduce me to Ashley Aspen, T.S. Foxy, and a few other people. And I'm going to get one of those people on. And then Ashley Aspen knows somebody else. And so that's just how I function on making connections. I understand that I just need to get into the system, and then the system will take care of me. And every time, I mean, I don't know how to get an interview with Caitlin Clark at the moment. But if there's a C-level WNBA player, and that's where we start, I will climb up the ladder into that sector. So that's just how I view it.
Yeah.
And that's how I do this. And this is the only way I've known how to do it. But when I go off Broadway, I'm also saying, look, I'm 1,000 interviews in, but I also look at this where I figured out the path to monetization on YouTube too. So again, those connections are not gonna what makes me really really wealthy. it's 4,500 videos will make me monetized on YouTube efficiently. So I have to look at that too, right?
Right.
Actions versus monetization.
Yeah. But I
It,
mean, yours is a different way. You're not really paying for anything right now.
my overhead is dirt cheap, right? My overhead is about $300 a year.
Okay. But okay, so like you take me, you
Fair
take
enough.
my inventory, you take
Your
conventions,
inventory is much higher than
you
mine.
take travel, you take everything into consideration of what you're paying off here.
Let's just use your inventory as an example, right? Let's say that to run your business is 5K a year, just on an inventory.
Reasonable.
Fair enough.
Right.
We're using round numbers. It could be more, it could be less, but we're going to argue your point, right?
Right.
My inventory, me interviewing in my house, is 300, maybe $400 a year, right? So in order for me to be profitable, it's significantly less than what it is for you to be profitable at the moment. So in order for
But
you to be
but for
profitable,
you to get to the next level, it's basically making those connections, talking to people, and it's not costing you anything. For me to make another connection, it's going to cost me that 5K a year, and I might not get anywhere else. Why not put that 5K a year to make a connection to get me somewhere else?
let's put it this way: you need the merch regardless. So you need to figure out that cool. How much is a connection on a ratio level worth?
Right.
So again, if my ratio cost on my business is $400 a year, and then I want to spend $600, great. So that's a 60% or an 80% ratio, whatever it is, right? So again, we need to figure out the ratio for you because my $400 is not. I have to spend that money regardless to run my company and run what I do on an interview basis. So that's neither here nor there. And if it's going to cost you $5 grand to print a bunch of books, and even if you don't produce a new book, you're still going to have to print those books, right?
And convention tables,
Yeah,
gas,
I'm looking
travel.
at $5 grand as the whole shebang, for lack of a better word. I don't know if it's higher or lower,
Oh, I'm telling you, trust me, it's higher.
you understand why I'm picking a basic number, though, right?
Right. Right.
I'm trying to argue a point, not a logistical.
Well, my point is, why instead of spending that 5,000 on all this other stuff, instead spend it on making the connection that can get me to that next level?
But is that next level gonna then so someone can get you a meeting, right? So let's use the Antarctic Press, right? If it's gonna cost you $500, somebody's just Ben Dunn's best friend, right? He could get you a meeting with Ben Dunn for an hour. You and Ben Dunn are gonna have lunch at a deli for an hour, right?
Right.
I'll give you an example, right? The Mets have a charity, right? You can go
Right.
fishing with Pete Alonso, right? First
Right.
and foremost, going fishing with Pete Alonso sounds fucking awesome, right? It sounds awesome. Fuck business, dude. 10K, I'm in, man. Let's go out on a boat. Let's just go catch some fish, bro. Let's just talk about life. Let's talk about baseball, man. You'll sign a few baseballs for me. It'll be great. But let's say I could go, have lunch with Steve Cohen. I'm a young startup investor, right? And I'm creating a private, 5 employee fiduciary pension fund, right?
Right.
You don't think me speaking to Steve Cohen for an hour and a half is not worth 10 grand? Hands fucking down. Just on an advice level,
See, but here's the thing:
that
where do
that
you find the people
I
that?
mean, you know who Steve Cohen is, right? Steve Cohen is one of the top investors in the United States. He runs a company. He just bought the New York Mets like 2 years ago. He runs a company called SAC, right?
Okay.
So if I'm a young startup and I'm managing, let's say $20 million, and I raise $20 million, and I know what the fuck do I'm trying to get to 50 million, right? Turn my 20 to 50, and it cost me 10 grand to speak to Steve Cohen, who's one of the top, investors in the United States, for 10 grand to have lunch with him, and it cost me 10 grand. That's a no-brainer, right?
Is it?
To speak to the top
There,
investor,
there's no.
to
You're
have lunch.
talking to him.
right?
But you don't know if there's anything that's going to come out of it.
No, but we're evaluating risk versus reward. For 10 grand, if I'm
For 10
managing,
grand, I don't know if that's worth it.
if I'm managing 20 mil,
Well, if you're managing 20 mil, then you've already got money that you're making.
so
That's
you
a different story.
no, but that's the scenario I'm presenting to you, right?
Yeah,
Is
but
that
that scenario, you're making that much money. Why would you need to talk to him?
because you're trying to get to 50 or 100. You're trying to do what Steve Cohen has done, right? So what you're basically saying is that I want to speak to the top investors and it's going to cost me 10 grand. If you could have a lunch with Warren Buffett for an hour or 2 hours and Steve Cohen there, and you could just talk about business and everything else you want to talk about with them for 10 grand, that's a no-brainer. That's a no-brainer because you're getting the best minds in the world, right? To have a conversation and they're going to change the perspective. You're going to get something out of that conversation, right? So if all of a sudden I could have a meeting and I'm trying to create a business, right, or do something in comics, or I could get a meeting with an editor or get in front of DC Comics for 30 minutes, right, that I normally wouldn't be able to do on my own, I couldn't do in the next 2 years, it's worth money, right?
Right. But again, where are these people?
It's not that
That,
hard. Uh, uh,
what do you mean it's not that hard?
no. But what I think is going on is that I think a lot of people don't know. This is my thought, right? I think a lot of people are very awkward around this conversation about money, right? In comics, I think they don't have a problem using a vehicle like Kickstarter. I think they have a vehicle saying, "Hey, it's if you want me to introduce you to person A, it's going to cost you $50," because it's a very weird concept.
Where
To
are these people though that will make the connection for you?
I think again. I think they're very much present. I just think they don't even think about this, right? Because they're creatives, right?
Well, and this is why I'm bringing up the question because, like I said, I came
Pat
across this
Shand
opportunity.
has a good relationship with Zenoscope, right?
Who?
Pat Shand. Pat Shand
Okay.
writes for Zenoscope. Raven
Right.
Gregory writes for
Raven Greg,
Zenoscope.
right.
So if you want to interview Joe Brusher, you want to do business with Zenoscope, you want to write for Zenoscope, Pat Shand could hook you up or make a recommendation but I don't think that these creative people know how to do that, right? I don't think it's in their mindset, right?
Well, I don't think Pat Shan would exactly take a call from me. I don't think.
I don't think he's gonna take a call from anybody. And
Well,
I like
then, how you doing it? So, then why are you bringing it up?
no. My point is that he has the clout and the credibility.
Well, he does.
I
But if
don't
he's not going
think
to take the call from me, then
I don't
that's not on the
think
table.
so. If I want a connection with Zenoscope, Pat Shand can hook me up, right? But like
He
that's
hooked you up.
that. So I think some people either understand how to set that up or they don't. I don't think it's an issue anymore of where's this connection. I think you're asking the wrong position. I think that a lot of creators don't know how to do it, right? So like
How do you do it?
I just think they don't understand, right?
Well, I'm asking, how do you do it?
I think you do it the way I've done it, right? I think it's the only way where I've legitly bootstrapped every component. It's taken me 10 years to get here, right? I have no problem admitting that I've taken the tortoise route to this, but it's accelerating massively.
Um, um,
It sucks. I get it. I understand that it sucks because
what's the name? What's
I'm 31. It's also different because I'm
not
31. If
Scout?
you're
Is it Scout?
51, it sucks
What's
because
his name's that
51
Scout, right?
What would you say?
Who's that Scout?
Travis is at Scout.
Travis. Okay.
Matt Knowles is at Scout. Todd. Shoot, I can't think of
Okay.
Todd Kelly's at Scout.
Do you think any of them would make me an introduction if I paid them to? Probably not.
I don't know. How much money are we talking?
Well, that's what I'm asking.
Again. I don't think any of these people are that's actually a really good question. I don't know.
Now, I know Travis. I've talked to him a few times. I've sent him some,
Well,
messages back
well,
and
well,
forth
well,
and that.
Travis is complicated. I'll be honest about Travis right now. I don't have a problem with Travis. Seeing this or Travis can be very, very, very helpful. He could
Well,
also be.
he's a great guy. I think he's given me some good advice,
I
but
think. I
but
think
that's
he
not the
also be
point.
a
The
dick.
point is, huh?
I think Travis can be a dick. To
But
be
that's not the point. The point is, would he make that connection for me? Probably not. Would
yeah,
Pat Shan, if I message Pat Shan, make that connection on Presentoscope? Probably not, because he doesn't know me. But there
but
are
that's
people.
just it though. A lot of people don't know me, and I've just powered through because I just ask like a normal fucking human being,
But
and I
you're not asking to make that connection in the same way.
I mean, but I also think, I mean, Timothy Beefling just did this whole fucking show, which I thought to some degree was disingenuous about podcasting and comics, and the fact that I wasn't on that show was problematic in its own right. And I'll tell you why it's problematic, because you got somebody who does this on a level that is very different than all the other fucking hosts,
Okay.
and he had Lori on, and I like Lori. He had Chad Perkins on, and I watched the show, and I'm like, there was nothing of production here because they were
But I
talking.
mean, that's just a choice he made, kind of thing.
No, but it was the wrong choice. We have to acknowledge wrong choices here because when we pick people who do not provide knowledge, we have to say, okay, cool, we didn't provide any fucking knowledge here. There's nothing wrong with making choices, but if nothing got accomplished or no information or no new ground was broken, we're just gonna play the Marilyn Manson song, keep breaking the same old ground here, right? So which means that nothing got accomplished, hence the song's name. Um, I hate repeating myself, but I did it anyway. Um, Thank you. I thought it was funny myself when I was running that through my head. Um, but the position is that I just make connections, right? I take the approach on a podcast level, and this is why I bring it up, is that cool. If I was to ever do a comic, right? At this point, I've interviewed enough people that I have enough connections that I could directly pitch to somebody, right? So I think if you want to make connections in this industry and you're a comic creator, this is what I would have said on his show. To be honest, I would have said a lot of shit on his show. Some of it might have been received well, some of it might not have been received well. Is that if you're interviewing enough people and then interviewing enough CEOs and people who are running creative projects, so if you interview the CEO of Scout Comics, when you want to go to Scout Comics, you now have a semi-direct connection. So if your objective is to do an indie book, but then eventually bring it to one of these top publishers, you need to start making those connections directly. And the way you do
Okay,
that,
so
let me finish my point, is that I have a connection to Ralph Tedesco. I have a connection to Zil Brusher from Zenoscope, right? So if I ever wanted to write for them, I have a direct connection. Not saying I will get it or not get it. The point is that so I just reach out to people and I just keep evolving, right? So it could take years, right, to do this shit. And I get it, it's not fun, but that's the thing is that I've taken the position where I'm just slowly climbing the ladder of credibility. And it sucks. I get
a,
it.
a connection is one thing. A business connection is a different thing. I've made connections. I have connections with people like Almega. I got connections with people who are in the industry that have done stuff. I've talked to Mr. Ben Dunn several times. I've hung out with him for hours upon hours. The thing about it is, some of them just don't pan out. They don't lead to other connections. Just because,
Of
just
course.
because,
That's just
I'm sorry.
business. That's
Well,
just
just
business.
because you have some connections doesn't mean they're the right ones or that they're going to champion your cause.
Right. So I'll throw this out to you. I've asked Dorothy Fawn for an interview 4 years ago. It took me, and then I circled back to her, and then she said, "Yeah, I'll do it now." And I was great. So sometimes you have to ask people for an interview or for anything a few times before they agree. You also have to be smart about what it looks like. Also, sometimes the interview is not the right thing, right? I mean, look, I've tried a bunch of businesses. It took me a while to figure out the right one, right? It took me a while to figure out what works and what doesn't. So I have, again, you could have a relationship. It could very well be that obviously I don't want to write comics, right? At least I don't want to do it now. But the the position is that it could very well be that I don't want to do something now or 3 years from now. Great, I produced my first book and Zenoscope's not interested, or Scout's not interested, or Source Point Press is not interested, or whatever else. But then 3 years later, say, we love this idea, man. You pitched us, we love this idea. And so it could very well be that you got to circle back. Grant Cardone talks about this all the time, right? You always got to be circling back with people, and you got to be earning their business. So again, that's how I feel. Is that I completely agree that the right connection might not appear, right? Or it might not be right at the time, or they might have a different idea, or things change. Look, plenty of shit changes in business.
I'm not saying that a connection can't evolve. You never know. I might get with Antarctic Press some other day. I've talked to people at is it Scout. I've talked to people at man, I've talked to a lot of people, But the thing about it is it's not going anywhere. So I'm not looking after those connections to evolve. I'm looking for other connections in other ways outside the box. And
True.
that's why I'm saying there's got to be people that are out there that will help you make connections.
So let me ask this to you then, right? What connections are you looking for? What are you looking for a connection? I'll give you an example, right? So obviously I've gotten outside the box in my show, right? So I have connections in the adult industry and the porn industry, right? Purposely. Because that's what fucking happens when you have those connections. It's really helpful because you don't know when I'm gonna need those connections. Do I need connections somewhere in the cosplay community? Of course I do, right? So I built my show where I have connections. Am I trying to foster connections with WNBA cards and tops and panini? Yeah, those are tricky, right? But I'm 2 months into the WNBA. So the connection aspect of that, I'm not looking for that. I'm trying to get into that shit, but great, right? Am I trying to get my connection into UFC shit with cards? Absolutely. But I'm not expecting those connections to be there for a few more months, if not for a year or two, because I'm brand new into a sector, right? 2 months ago, the WNBA wasn't on my radar. So if you've just entered comics and you expect connections and you're a month in, you got to earn some of those connections first.
But I'm not a month. I'm 3 years in.
I hear you, right? So at this point, you have connections with people like me, right? You have connections with other people, but you also have to earn other connections, right? But a connection for you might very well be that, hey, I have a good relationship with Comics Wellspring, right? It could very well be that the connection you have isn't so much, on an industry level. You might have a printed connection, right? You might have a relationship with a printer that's really solid, and then they might know somebody else, and so you got to work connections. I'm well aware that how I get interviews is that, I mean, I got Josh Briggs because I asked Anthony Green, hey, could you throw me a solid between your girlfriend, who was Ava Everett at the time, and Josh Briggs? Said, yo, dude, I'm going to hook you up, right? I got no problem helping you out, getting you my girlfriend for an interview, as well as getting you, my best friend in wrestling, right? So like
But
that's also the
you're
other too, is that if you're looking to do Travis, right, and you have Travis, and Travis's best friend is a printer, right? Like Sean's a good example of this, right? Sean runs Comics Elite. They deal with a lot of people, right? If you say, hey, I'm a brand new creator, I would love to interview you. Can you help me out? Like if I say to Sean, hey, could I don't know who's a hot artist in your company, but let me know what you need help on, and if you introduce me to somebody, like this is how I build connections, right? And that's how I do it, right? Because I don't know any other way. And what I've learned in my life, and Ben Shapiro taught me this. He said people love when people ask for favors because they know that they're gonna have to return that favor at some point.
right. So I
I
know
don't know.
Sean.
That's a lot.
I know Sean. I've met Sean. I've talked to him. He's given me his number, and we've talked once or twice. Again, I've made a lot of connections in the industry. Mr. Ben Dunn, Antarctic Press. I've met a lot of people. Yeah, I met Rob Liefeld. I met a lot of people, but my connections aren't going anywhere. Like I said,
So,
they're not.
we're gonna face hard reality. My connections tend to go places, right?
But you're not asking. You're not.
I'm also not a dick. I also say, hey, how can I help you? Right?
You're not a dick.
No, I didn't say you were. So it depends what you're asking with the connection, right? I approach connections where I'm always to the point where I'm like, hey, how can I help you? Love to interview you to talk about your project. How can I
I
help you?
am usually the same way. Usually, it's like, hey, well,
So
we're in this
clearly,
fight together. We're in the comic industry together. What can we do to help each other out? And usually, I started my podcast and I was trying to help other people out. I've offered other artists to come to the tables that I've been, at for the past 2 years, trying to help them out. But again, it just hadn't been growing. And a lot of people seem to be selfish. I'm not trying to be mean,
oh, absolutely. Plenty of people are selfish. I mean, look,
but having said that,
leaves.
none of my connections are going anywhere. I've been with two publishers, and I'm not trying to be mean to them, and I'm not really trying to out them or anything. Two publishers a year each, and they didn't sell but maybe one or two books of mine. So it's like I need to figure out a new, different way. And if there's somebody who's willing to take a payment to make a connection,
but maybe this is
why
the
not
issue
explore?
that I push really hard my shit, right? I push it unbelievable. Okay.
Slight push.
I'm not no, but that's just it, is that I'm the driving factor, right? The thing I love about eBay is I don't push my eBay at all. And the shit sells like crazy because I'm buying product that's moving itself. Angel resells herself. And I just price it appropriately, right? So I'm pricing it cheaper enough. And people make me stupid offers all the fucking time, but that's not the point here. But for the most part, this shit sells by itself, right? Which is what I want in my business, right? I
Yeah, but an
want
eBay store compared to something like a self-published book.
yes. I agree. Because I know where the question's going. Not to cut you off, but I know what you're going at. Is that, but you gotta push the fucking shit out of your book, right? You
Right.
gotta spam it. You gotta get creative. You gotta create the TikToks, right? You gotta be behind it. I'm behind my
Or
show.
you got to find somebody who's willing to make a connection for you.
But that's just it, though. Is that what I found? Is that I'm making those connections myself, and rather than let somebody else fucking do it, every once in a while somebody else introduces me, and John
But
Crowther introduced me to the Bushwhackers, but I just walked right into that shit, right?
some of the connections, like I said,
I would
3 years.
love. I'll prove a point here, right?
Okay.
If somebody can make me a connection to her, okay, Megan Bain, because Megan Bain is a hot, I have to do a hands-on investigation. She has pierced titties, but not the one. I mean, I want to do that. That's a hands-on journalistic approach for me. These hands are ready to investigate fully. Um, but someone can make me an introduction to Megan Bain. I would definitely consider money or return of positions or whatever they want. If somebody could help me out on that, that'd be fantastic. But my point is that, again, what I found is that a lot of people in wrestling want to help me out, man. And a lot of people are willing to just help me out for free. Also, I also have names now to drop. When you interview Effie, Billy Starks, people who are now Brian Malonis.
I don't feel right dropping names. Like I said,
Oh, I do. I have
me
no
and Mr. Dunn,
earned it.
I met Mr. Dunn several times in his office, and we hung out a few times.
I've earned it.
I met Rob Liefeld in person, which was amazing. He's had some good things to say about my comics, but I don't bring that up. I just don't like name dropping. I got a friend who's in the industry who's, a YouTuber that's got thousands upon thousands of viewers. And he's always like, if there's anything that I can do for you, anyone I can, but that's
Why
not
not?
the
Why
same.
not? I use every advantage. I'm a disabled podcaster. I use that as my advantage. So I just applied for a fucking grant. I said I'm a
It's
disabled.
not the same thing. You don't want to,
But
you're
that's
making
just
these
so
friends
right,
and you
right.
don't want to take advantage of your friends. You want
But,
to make it on your own.
I don't feel ever that I'm taking advantage of anybody, right?
But that's not the point. The point is, if there are these people out there willing to make connections
You're
for
just
you at
not
a
want to do the
cost,
work, man. I mean, I'm gonna call bullshit right here.
why?
So it's great that you want to pay somebody to help you out, right? But again, you also got to push it yourself, right?
I
So
do.
I'm the unit that
But
pushes.
I do push it. Okay, hold on.
Okay, I'm gonna let you
3
defend
years.
yourself. Right ahead.
3 years. I had 3 YouTube shows. I was a co-host on one of them. I was on Pops' show. I did my own show, right?
Right.
3 years. I pushed it. 3 years, 3 different shows. I also
What was your
did.
viewership? What was your viewership? What did you do? That was your secret sauce.
I'm sorry.
What was your secret sauce in those shows?
What is my what?
Secret sauce.
They were different ones. Think Indie was on Comic Crusaders, and we reviewed indie comic books. We reviewed them every week and kind of
What
talked
was
about.
your viewership? Let's break this down, right?
Well, I wasn't. I'm not a YouTuber. I don't know that stuff. The viewership wasn't big,
So,
but
so,
that's not the point. The
so,
point
so
is I was out there trying.
what my secret sauce is, and the reason why I'm doing really well is that I'm releasing content consistently at 3 o'clock every day. So,
Yeah,
so,
but
so, so,
that's
so
all you're. That's what you're doing. That's what you're focusing on. Mine was the comics.
yeah,
See, I was out there.
this
I
year,
was also out there doing conventions,
sure,
which I did
sure.
about 52 conventions in about 2 years. That's a lot of conventions.
That is a lot.
I did comic book stores. I went and got my comic books into over 30 bookstores,
That's
which
great.
for an independence, that's big.
That's amazing. The point is that I think what you're doing is that, and I'll be honest with you, I think you're approaching this the wrong way, right?
Why?
I think that what you are doing is building slow momentum, and I think you got to keep pushing. So if you run a show and you're consistent on Wednesday nights every single night for an hour and a half, right, talking about issues and just being you, right?
But it wasn't getting anywhere.
But you're in 30 comic shops. You're funding on Kickstarter. You're being successful. You're doing a bunch of cons.
But
Are
it wasn't
you?
getting anywhere.
But are you not getting anywhere on a growing level or on a monetary level? Because this is the thing is that
Either.
so then you have to really look at this and say, cool, is the approach correct, right? Because is it a comic problem? Is it a media problem? Is it a social media position? Because what I learned and what I figured out, and this is really important, is that I stopped worrying about all the stupid shit. I just started being me, and I started this YouTube community shit, right? On YouTube. I'm very active on my YouTube community, and I'm just posting up pictures every other day of the WNBA in bikinis, right? And then memes and then polls about the Cheetah Girls. And then I post up good medias. I'm bringing up shorts now back again. And I'm bringing back full interviews. And I do a lot of live shit on YouTube. And people are gravitating to that one subscriber at a time. Yeah, sure. It's going a little bit slow. But guess what? I'm having a huge retention rate. And it's the reason why I've
But
done
I
everything.
didn't.
And so I'm going piece by piece by piece, and I'm not fucking worrying about a damn fucking thing.
But
And I'm doing me.
that's it though. You're not really putting much into it to get much out. I mean, you're building it.
I figured out that I'm not worrying about this because this thing's gonna fucking explode soon enough. Because I took the theory of critical mass theory, where I'm just gonna produce a fuck ton of content, and there's gonna be a day where this thing is gonna explode. I'm gonna have 10,000 subscribers. You're like, holy fucking shit, this guy's legit. And guess what? Somebody says you're not big enough for me. I'm like, fuck you.
You
And
know
this
how many wrestlers there are out there?
my middle finger is back the fuck up, saying
You know
fuck.
how many wrestlers there are out there? Probably millions. You know how many actors there are out there?
Sure.
Probably millions. Do you know
Of
how many
course.
comic book creators are out there?
Millions.
And here's the thing:
And they don't
if
have
you
the
don't
attitude.
do
Fuck
something,
you.
if you don't do something to get noticed, then there's a possibility that it might just
But that's just it.
drown you.
Just keep going. I take the
No, it's not
position.
just about keep going.
I
You could go
take,
your entire life
but
and
but
not be
but
found.
this is the things that what I figured out is that if I produce so much fucking content, I forget the woman she was talking about critical mass today. This is where I got it from.
But
And,
all you're doing is content.
but I run an eBay business. I work a regular day
Well,
job.
but we're not talking about the
I
eBay business. We're talking about the
mean, I
content.
got four fucking components in my life, and I'm gonna be adding a fifth, which is me and my significant other. We're probably gonna get married. We're gonna have a kid. It's gonna be
But we're
great.
not we're not talking about that. We're talking about your focus here. Your focus is on this, right?
No. My focus is on building components that are going to make me really, really, really fucking rich. That's it. So I've taken a holistic approach that the YouTube, the interview shit, and we talk about connections, right? The only two connections I need right now are connections to Panini and Tops. And we've gone over to this where I'm willing to pay a lot of that. But guess what? It's legit. So this is the issue with Shark Tank, right? I mean, you've seen Shark Tank, right? There's been positions where somebody might give up 10% of their equity for Kevin O'Leary or Robert Herjavec or Mark Cuban to make a phone call because they know their phone call is going to get answered. And all the shark needs is a phone call answered. So I get it completely where I'm willing to pay good money for somebody if they could get me a phone call with Tops, right? With Michael Rubin. Like seriously, so I would pay 2 grand to interview Michael Rubin. He's the CEO of Phonetics, which owns Tops. If somebody could get me a 30-minute conversation on an interview with Michael Rubin, done deal. Done deal. Because that will end every question about how legitimate I am about cards. And that will sell me millions of dollars of cards, if not tens of millions of dollars of cards. Undeniably. Michael Rubin probably would do it for free. Somebody be like, dude, this guy loves fucking baseball cards, man. You should come on a show. And he loves Alex Pereira. And guy lives in Bethel, Connecticut. And every time he buys an Alex Pereira card, we just send him a parallel because we think it's a sick fucking joke to this guy. And we're trolling the shit out of him, but he loves it. And
But like I said, it goes down to that my one question.
again, if somebody was Michael Rubin's best friend and they wanted a grand for it, done deal. But that person be like, dude, I know him. He's my best friend, dude. I'm gonna hook you up for free, man. So I'm just a
Yeah,
nice.
but it's going to take you years. Is it going to be worth it?
Absolutely.
I don't know.
Every fucking I'll wait years to do this interview with Michael Rubin. Absolutely. It'll be well worth it because I would have earned it and I enjoy the earning component of it. But also I'm at the stage where my business is working really, really well because I don't make money on this show, right? I make money on eBay and I make a fuck ton of it and I'm making a lot.
And that's the deal. It's like I didn't make money on the shows and it wasn't producing anything. So why put the effort into that whenever I can change course, reevaluate, and try a different route?
But maybe it's I'm different because I'm at a stage where this isn't my main driver. My
That's
eBay
the
business
thing.
is
That's
killing
the
it.
thing. It's not your main driver. This is my main driver.
So the comic shit is your main driver. So
Yeah.
I'm in a
I
position.
lived off of it for 2 years. Yeah.
So I get it, man. I get it. My point is that what I figured out is that this show gives me access to insight that I wouldn't normally have.
But
That,
you're not
that's the
living off of it. That's not your support.
the
And
the,
because of
the,
that, you don't need it to
the
be.
comic business. I'll be honest with you. It changes and it changes my economic socio status without a doubt. So,
But
so
but again, you're
it's going
not
to change my entire trajectory, right?
you're not dependent on it right now.
Yeah,
So
Theo,
you don't need it to get to that next level until it gets there.
no. I mean, it's gotten me to the next level, right? Because when you have when you make 60K a year before taxes, and you have an eBay business that pulls in 18,000 in pure profit, your income level has changed and your level of socioeconomic levels has changed
You got a
too.
9 to 5
I do have a 9 to 5. That's where I'm
that's
making.
supporting you?
It's barely getting me across the line because life's tough.
But here's the thing: you're
18.
not dependent on the YouTube thing. You're
So
dependent on your 9 to 5.
I'm dependent. My eBay business is what I was arguing. Changes my economic status and it's brought me to the next level. So that's a very different position. That's when I talk about the tops and the
But
panini.
your eBay business is not your YouTube thing.
Yes, no. We talk about next level shit, right? That's where I'm going with this. That's why I say the tops position, the panini position, if I can get wholesale levels and get cheaper card prices because I have a connection there, will get me to the next level because it will increase profit margins, which will increase more money in my pocket.
But
I mean,
even still, you're not dependent on your eBay business, are you?
it
If
puts
you
me
lost your 9 to 5, could you live off of your eBay business?
not at the moment, but if I
Okay,
had wholesale
but
levels,
here's the thing:
so
I'm
what?
living off of the comic
Yes.
business,
No.
so I
Let
need to get it to that next
me
level.
answer your question, right? So when we talk about getting to the next level, right? The next level in my eBay business is getting those Panini and Tops connections. So if somebody had access to those people and their phone calls would be returned, I would happily pay for those connections. Because so we're getting to the heart of the argument. So there's no issue of paying for content.
My question isn't, if you would pay for it. Where are those people?
Those people are either some consultant. Those people are either just right at those companies that just are happy to make a sale, right? So it's easier when you're selling a direct product, right?
Well, I'm
So
not talking about the sellers. I'm talking about the people that will make you the connection. Where
well,
are those people?
also, I think that there's a problem with artists where I think they want that clout, where they don't want to work on a Paul Gomez project, right? No offense to you, but they feel like, oh, I worked for Zenoscope and Paul's willing to pay me $1,800 for a cover. Fuck Paul Gomez because he doesn't have the clout, right? And last time I checked, if you're paying somebody's mortgage off with a cover you bought, well, you're their client,
And
right?
that's why you got to raise your level. I'm not at a level where I demand a little respect. And having produced these books that I did, I got pushed around a lot. I got
Oh,
pushed around a lot.
I take a different position too. If your rate is 2K and I'm willing to pay you 2K, you better, and you're happy to take because I'm not paying.
That's beside the point, though. The point is, if I need to get to the next level, I need to find a way to make those connections.
But look,
Where are those people?
I mean, we'll call it the way it is. I have no problem saying it. There are people who have de-evolved too. There are people who have gotten to the top level where they had top people on their books and they failed with top covers on their
Well,
Kickstarters.
and I understand that.
And
That's not the point,
they have
though.
now de-evolved, right?
Yeah, but that's
So,
not the point.
but it is, right? Because they
Right.
had the connections and they fucked it up.
So, so there
So,
was this artist. There was
what,
this artist who got a book into a publisher, and they thought they were going to be, as soon as if I get this book into this publisher, I'm going to be good. But they didn't understand that they really had to push the book. They didn't understand the industry that much. They just figured, hey, I got a comic, I got a friend in the industry, I'm good. I understand that there's a way that you go down,
there are people. No. My point is
but
that
I'm trying to find
yeah,
that chance.
what you're looking for is that you're a hard worker and you just need somebody to say, hey, I could hook you up with an editor. I could hook you up with an opportunity to
Not an
present.
editor, but
Okay, fair enough. Maybe an editor is not the right word. You could hook me up with somebody who is at a top company or whatever it is, or looking to buy or option books, and that's what you're looking for, right?
yeah.
And I get it. I think that those, I think the people who could hook you up with that. I don't really know, man. I mean, my position is that again, I tend to think that I just think opportunities come when people are working their ass off, and that you will be discovered, and that's what I've learned in my life.
I,
Is
I don't think I don't think in some industries that you will be discovered that I mean, I understand that you got to put your time in, but I think also
I mean,
I've
it
put
was
my book in
continuous.
front of people, and I'm sure that it's just been pushed aside.
Yeah, and I feel you, right? But I just keep producing content, right? And that's all I do is that.
Yeah, but like I said, you're not really dependent on it.
But that's what makes it awesome, right? I figured out that I can do whatever the fuck I want to do. If a porn star who has, for lack of a
Yeah, but
better,
you're let's say you got a business plan. Hypothetically, let's say you got a business plan for your stuff.
sure, I do. I
You're
absolutely,
not in a fast forward kind of way. I am.
dude. You know how much money I spent on my business in the last 18 months?
How much?
Take a guess.
I don't know.
Take a fucking wild guess how much money I've spent in the last
I
18
don't know.
since my surgery, which was last February. So February 2023, I have spent over $70,000 buying and selling merch in my eBay business. And guess how much debt I have on my business right now?
How much?
3,300. So I have legitly spent $70,000. Now it wasn't $70,000 directly, it was $70,000 recycling the profits, continued growth. But when we calculate in 18 months, when somebody spends $70,000 and they've legitly recycled their credit card and their debit card and their Apple credit card on $70,000 and they calculate that in the last 18 months, I mean, the point I'm making is that when we talk about hypotheticals, I've run through every single fucking one of these. I haven't run through hypotheticals. I've done hypotheticals. I have had the master class in doing this. I've done everything in business. And I'm 30 the fucking one. And I feel like I'm 70 for a reason. And I do not want anybody to do what I've done. If I had business connections, this would have been the worst thing to do ever. This is not how you should do what I've done in
But
any regard. The fact that I have sufficed in 18 months of recycled 71 and tinkered down debt using first dollar and plus profits to tinker down debt while using more debt to suffice that and tinker it down again. Either I'm the luckiest son of a bitch or I understand operations and logistics.
but
It's one or the other.
the point is, it's like I said, you're not
Connection
really
would be
dependent on it.
so fucking helpful.
I just
You think I wasn't dependent on this? Oh my God. Without a doubt. Now I agree that I mean plenty of money from my 9 to 5 has come into this and have sufficed that too purposely because that's how business sometimes runs. And I'm gonna get to a point where I'm gonna have a lot of free cash flow come September and my business is gonna be self-sustaining. But to do what I've done, I mean, this is insane. But I agree that I'm in a position in my eBay business where, you know, I was in a position where I've done a lot of shit right, where it became sufficient, and then I chose to use the debt snowball, which Dave Ramsey throws out there. But without a doubt, there's no question about leveling up with my business. That my business has definitely once we become cash profitable and we're pulling in on a 90-day position, almost 12K, that's not leveling me up with the
but
distribution
what
of
I'm saying is you're in cruise control. You're not trying to go rapid
at
speed kind
all.
of thing.
Not at all. I've evolved. I've legitimately brought in a new product. I am not in cruise control. In April, I had about $300 worth of free cash flow. In fucking June or right now, I have about $4,000 of cash flow. I've run in a whole new product line, which is the WNBA. I am not in anywhere near cruise control. Would I like to get my WNBA cards cheaper? You're damn right I would like, which is the connection argument. That's why we're talking about it, because I get it completely. I get it, man, in which that connections are useful. I do think that Tops, I think I can establish a connection. Panini is a fucking bastard of a company because they are hard to get into contact with for customer
I
support.
believe it.
Tops is easy, man. Tops, you call them up, they're like, yeah, we'll talk to you all day, man. We're happy to talk to you. We'll talk about sports cards. We'll talk about anything you want to talk about. Yeah, we're happy. eBay is the same way. They got great customer service. I think if I wanted to buy wholesale with Tops, it'll be easier than Panini. Because Panini just sucks on that level. So I get it. So I'm willing to pay less for somebody at Tops to give me a wholesale deal as a patsy or a negotiator than I am with Panini, because Panini is harder to break into. Does that make
Oh,
sense?
I mean, I'm pretty sure it's hard to get a wholesale deal with any of them.
I mean, right now, I buy Panini cards for $4 a card. 25 cards, $4.
I don't know. Whatever comes to the cards, I don't know.
And then I'm selling them for like $7.20 a piece. So it's not bad. There's real money to be made here, right?
I'm not saying there isn't. I'm just saying that's a different beast. It's a different.
I would like to buy those cards from Panini at $3 or $2.50, and I'll buy 100. So I'll buy $250 worth of cards, 100 cards, and I'll sell them for $6.80 or $6.75, which is what my customers really want to pay. At $6.75, I know that I could sell 100 of those cards, or $6.50, I could sell all those cards really, really quickly, right? Like that's what it comes down to. I'll make more money, not because I'm going to make selling them at a higher valuation, because I'm going to sell them cheaper and faster, which means I have more cash flow. That's the only metric that matters in my eBay business is cash flow. If I'm making a 10% profit margin or 30% profit margin, it doesn't matter as long as I have cash flow.
Right.
I'd rather make 10% if I know that I'm selling 100 cards before I even have the cards and before the cards even available to purchase. Because then I know that I could purchase the card debt free. And then I know that I have customers, which solves the problem in the long run. So that Panini reaction and position would be fantastic. But I digress.
Like I said, it's a different beast. It's a different animal altogether.
I agree. It's different. I mean, it's different in the end result. It's not different in the structure. I mean, you just need a connection to somebody who at SourcePoint or Scout or wherever you're going to go is going to say, we're going
to. I honestly believe it's not what you know, it's who you know.
I agree to an extent.
I think my books, I'm not saying they're the greatest, but I think they got enough talent that's in them that they should be in contention.
I agree. I agree that it's to a
but
degree.
I don't think that I've been able to get in front of, like I said, editors or publishers that would really take me seriously. And that's why I'm saying there have been offers that have been there to make connections, and I'm sure there are more. Just where do you find them?
I don't disagree. I don't disagree. Again, I'm just a bulldog, and I just don't quit. I just keep going, man. And either I'm lucky, or I just don't quit, or people say I can't take this motherfucker anymore. I'm gonna just do the interview, so leave me the fuck alone.
I don't believe in just staying in the fight. I believe in the knockout punch, and sometimes you've got to go a different route to make that knockout punch.
Oh, dude, I brought WNBA cards, and I'm cash flow positive in that. It's gonna last the next 2 or 3 years, and I know.
Right.
So
all right, man, you're falling asleep here.
I'm not falling asleep. No. It's I woke up at 6 in the morning, man. I had a productive day today. It's been a long day. Drinking a lot of money. Jake Diekman's apparently a shitty pitcher in the Mets who cost me like $15 today. That son of a bitch. Oh.
You ready to end this one?
Yeah, what'd you say?
You ready to end this one?
Yeah. So where can people find you?
I want to talk about a little bit of this and that after this.
Talk about what? All the shit. Anyway, continue. But anyway, where can people find you, Paul?
Yeah, you can find me at Paul Gomez 790, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. As I always say, if you're not having a good day, if you have a problem, if you just need to talk, or if you need any comic advice, reach out to me. I'm usually on Facebook, Paul Gomez 790.
And
Happy
then
4th of July.
where I'm at, everybody is obviously all beneath me. I am Pop Anime Comics on what is now known as formerly Twitter, now known as X, Pop Anime Comics. Instagram is Pop Anime Comics. Pop Anime Comics is on Facebook at Pop Anime Comics, of course. TikTok, if you want to check me out on TikTok, it's Pop Anime Comics. I am also on the eBay, which is right here. So look for Comics and Collectibles. Come shop with us on eBay. It's a fun time. Trust me, I got a lot of cool shit on eBay. I have things like this on eBay, which I have all 15 in holofoil, beautiful holofoil. It's nice and shiny. I also have things like this on eBay, which I also have all 15 of, which is nice and shiny. I also have things like this, which is Major League Baseball. They're recognizing the Negro Leagues finally, and they play a game at Rickwood. And this is a card from the game, which is a base card. So they cut up the base, they put in the card. It's super cool. So I'm very excited. I have one of those left, and it's an awesome card. And I do have stuff like this coming into my store, which is super cool. So some Dragon Ball Z from Mount Olympus, as well as this one. So be on the lookout for that stuff. And that's everything that I got going on. So yes, that's everything I got going on. And if you're really in tuned and you want to buy a really cool card, this is one of the cards I got. But again, apparently people can't see it. So there you go on that front. So, and then I do have 3 of these puppies left over, which are my Angel Reese Jungle Rookie Draft Night cards, limited to 25. I'm selling those for like 125 a piece, and they're gonna go soon, without a doubt. So, if you're an Angel Reese fan, and I had 5 of them, keeping one for myself, sold one of them, and then a competitor of mine also has 5 of them. So we control legitly like 40% of the market. So if you want these cars, they're a little bit expensive. So deal with it, everybody. But that's everything that I got going on. So pretty much that's it, everybody. And I think that's a wrap because I think we covered a lot of stuff here. So I appreciate everybody tuning in, checking us out. Hopefully we didn't offend anybody. And if we did, well, I'm sorry. That's everything I got. And on that note, everybody, I'm going to peace out. So have a good night and happy 4th of July, everybody. Peace.